Our job isn't to tell a film or television company where to shoot, it's but to give them options of where to shoot, and then to give them solutions to potential problems that they have. So we might start out talking about the fiscal incentives. They might ask us about crew availability in particular regions of the UK. They'll say, well, we haven't quite decided. So we will talk to our friends in Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland and England and give them options of locations and studio space, because we've been developing a lot of infrastructure.
Sort of the elements and things that filmmakers need to consider when bringing their projects to your jurisdictions, or international collaborations. What should they be thinking about? Some of the kind of thoughts there.
Well, I think Adrian and Xavier have touched on that, and Daphne answered for France. But I mean, I think from a British Film Commission point of view, we do the things that film and television commissions do, which is about talking as early as possible to the production about cast, about fiscal incentives and locations, and our job isn't to tell a film or television company where to shoot, it's but to give them options of where to shoot, and then to give them solutions to potential problems that they have. So we might start out talking about the fiscal incentives. They might ask us about crew availability in particular regions of the UK. They'll say, well, we haven't quite decided. So we will talk to our friends in Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland and England and give them options of locations and studio space, because we've been developing a lot of infrastructure. The BFC supported a whole we've doubled our studio space in the UK over the last couple of years, and not just in London and the South East, but in the nations and the regions. So we'll give those options to the film or television production, and then we'll listen to them in terms of what the gaps are, what they, somebody like Adrian's been making, television stuff in the UK, with the UK, out of the UK for a long time. So there's an awful lot of experience built up there, and there's a lot of things he doesn't need us for. But then there'll be lots and lots of new productions that are considering coming into Europe and considering coming into the UK, and they haven't had that experience. They don't understand the tax credit. Our tax credits have just been changed and enhanced. We're just briefing people about those now, including our new independent film tax credit. They don't know what the crewing agreements or the union agreements, which are different, actually a lot less complex than, say, in the US in terms of the actual employment agreements. As you know, Lyndsay, because the Production Guild is obviously heavily involved in all that. So we try and be a one-stop shop insofar as the fact we try and answer the questions that practically the production wants asking, and we like to think that there isn't a question we can't get an answer for, even if we don't have it. And then we'll put them in touch with anybody that we think they need to be put in touch with. And then, as Daphne's just been given fantastic examples, will then be the troubleshooting. And people tend to come to us if they've got problems on the ground, and we talk to our friends in Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland to help them solve those problems, or they've got political problems with which we have to talk to the government because of visas or customs and excise, and we will be that intermediary between them and government departments to sort those problems out. So it's that kind of whole basket of very, very practical services that what the British Film Commission and what other film commissions do in order to facilitate that production, not tell them what to do or tell them where to go. We never do that. But just to give them the best options of what they can do and where they can do it most cost effectively, because also around the rest of the UK, apart from our tax credits, there are now regional and national incentives that supplement the tax credits in Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland too. So that's what we try and do.
No, I think that's great. And it's obviously the very high-level stuff, planning, but also things about lead-in times. If you want to close a train station, you're not going to be able to do that in a week. You're going to need a certain amount of time. So I guess some of those very practical things. Daphne?
Yes, well, I think Adrian explained it very well because we're doing the same job, so we're offering the same free services to production. And I was going to say also is to call us as early as possible, because in my team we can go through the tax rebate, because sometimes people are like, oh, but it needs to be absolutely everything in France, and that's not the case. So we are really here to help them understand that they can, shoot in France, and that the day they file the application is actually the day where eligible expenditures start being taken into account. So it's important to come early and not too late, because if you start spending, then you won't, take that into account. And then, of course, for visa permits, the earlier we know their situation and where they need help, the more we can help them. And for location as well, we will not, replace a location manager for production, but we can help them have a first idea. When they don't know, they're like, we think we want to come to France, but we're looking for this specific ambience, maybe an old manor from the 50s, We can work with all the network of local film commission that are part of the Film France network, and we can give them like a first mood board, and then we give them idea, and so they can convince the producer that this is where they want to shoot. So that's the kind of things we do for them, and then guide them on anything they might need about sustainability, what we're doing in France, which is becoming really important for equality as well. So advise them and guide them.
That's great.
Yes, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, the important thing about Film France, because we've been working with Film France for a very long time now, from the beginning, is that you're very helpful for whenever we need something from an administration, for instance, when we have a problem. They really are a link between us and the administration. And the important thing is that they're on our side, actually. We don't feel we talk to administration who is going to allow something. Is they're okay? They're in good mood? If we tick all the boxes, they're just on our side, and they're trying to help whatever happens, which is priceless, really.
Mm. And is there anything you think that film commissions could do even more so to accommodate filmmakers? Is there anything that now's your chance, we've got two here, you can tell them?
Well, sometimes it just... I think they are really doing their best. The tax rebate we have in France is pretty well done, pretty easy. I think it's easier than the tax rebate we have for domestic productions. It's been really tailor-made for international productions. It's getting better and better, more or less. No, I think we have problems with some other administrations, with locations, etc. So we are pretty lucky to have somebody who is on our side. So we need improvements with a few other administrations in France, probably not with the Film Commission, not that I know of.
Yes, it's true that part of our job when we are talking about location, that could be private location, a museum or institution, we're here also to help them understand what is shooting, and that there can be different types of shooting, a blockbuster, an independent movie, or short movie, and then they need to adapt also, the prices related to that. So we are here also to help with that, and it's best when they have a person dedicated to filming. That's not always the case, but this is where my team job is really important in making this discussion and the go-between between production and locations.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry, just one thing, but the example Daphné was talking about earlier, realizing that a lot of British people were coming to Turkey to shoot something, and then France, and they really needed visa. That's something that usually cannot happen. You cannot go when you're British to a French consulate in Istanbul and get a visa. So if we're asking us administrations, they are not going to make that happen. And it happened just because of Film France, thanks to Film France, because they have that power.
It's a spectacular achievement.
It was.
It was, thank you. I remember that was a tough day at work.
Yeah.
You're welcome. And just for the audience to know, US and UK citizens, when they come to work in France for less than 90 days, 90, they don't need a visa. So this is actually really useful for production.
It's incredibly useful for productions, yes. That's one of the things that France actually did before anybody else. We've been working with a number of European territories to regularise their their visa systems and make it less difficult. But France were actually in the lead of doing that to facilitate production, which is great.
That's interesting. So, Adrian, obviously you're very practiced at multiple locations going around the world, but it's not for the faint-hearted, I guess. I mean, is it overwhelming, or
Do you mind if I answer the previous question
yes, of course,
first?
do,
You know, there's two things. There's the sort of start of somebody's career and when they're riding high, right? You know, the first thing film commissions should be doing is what you're already doing. I know certainly you, Adrian, sorry, I know less about CNC, but you know, is developing the next generation, and you know, and taking a very proactive and organised and pragmatic view about what those people need to be learning and what the skill shortages are. So easy.
Yeah,
right.
no, and I mean, Daphne commented on sustainability, which is obviously a very big priority for us, but inclusion, diversity, education, and skills training, as Lyndsay knows, and Adrian, thank you for mentioning it, because it's probably the single biggest priority for the UK now is skills strategy, skills training, skills implementation with industry, practical skills training, because that's the lifeblood of the industry. Without the people, we haven't got an industry.
You really don't. And the flip side to that is when people is finding better ways, and probably more France than UK, but finding better ways when people have achieved you know, a career in the industry, have sufficient credits on their to market those people for incoming productions.